Welcome to the Incoming Radiant Wellness Podcast, where intuitive movement educators Jem Burns and Stephanie Jolie help you to embody spiritual concepts in order to embrace your physio-energetic wholeness. And now, let's get to the episode.
Welcome back, Radiant Beings, to another episode of The Incoming Radiant Wellness. I am Stephanie.
I am Jem.
And we are The Incoming. And did you take that breath with us? Please do if you haven't. And today we are jamming on space. What is it to hold space? How do you hold space? Why is it important to hold space? And that phrase may or may not be familiar to you. As always, our take is a physio-energetic one. So what can you do in your body? How can you feel it? And then what can you do in your energy? How can you feel it there in this wholeness of connection to all of you? So holding space is very much like it sounds. And for me, there's this in Pilates, there is this in Pilates and dance, in ballet, there is this shape. And it's more than a shape, but it's hug a tree or it's first or second position. And it really is, it's this embracing of the space around you. So that for us here at The Incoming is always going to point you back to you and your connection to your source. You become your light source, and then that radiant light bubble, that RLB, your auric field, all of your subtle bodies, that shines so brightly that it becomes, I want to say, an energetic fortification, not a force field. That defines it maybe too deeply, but it becomes this energetic fortification where you can remain present with what you're experiencing, no matter the external stimuli. So we're always going to point you back to your source, your own plug-in to your light source. So holding space, and you can even do that. You can take your arms and literally embrace the space in front of you. And you can feel that sort of that floatiness under the armpits and the elbows. You can open it out. You can close your eyes and begin to imagine that radiant light bubble. And then you are just snugly wuggly, comfortably sitting in the middle of it.
Yeah, I love that exercise, even to build a container, because of course the body is a container. It's a density of field. And so when we bring our arms out and build the container, it's exemplifying what can be held. You know, water, when it's poured into no container, just spreads out and goes everywhere. But when there's a container, we can really feel up from that space. So yeah, it's really beautiful to physically embody that way of holding space. Energetically as well, it's about being in you regardless of the other person. So it's like I'm holding the space to, if I'm in dialogue with another, to allow that person to have their experience. And I am literally just holding the space for that experience to unfold. I would say for a lot of us, we're probably not holding space because of the way that we are entangled in each other's energy. And by that, I mean, we're, first of all, empathetic, so we can assort some sort of comparison. If somebody's talking about something maybe negative in their experience, somebody cut them off on the road. Oh yeah, you know, somebody did that to me. And so we actually amplify that vibration that's being spoken upon by just adding our experience into why somebody else might be sharing their experience. I will say that I did have an experience with a friend while we were camping, and she was sharing a lot and very emotional and giving out all of this energy. She was really I would say, yeah, just like expanding her experience, and came into tears. And my instinct or my impulse was to give her a hug. And in that moment, she was like, no, let me have my experience. And that was a really poignant reminder for me that, yeah, perhaps I'm intercepting her experience by offering her something and allowing somebody to have whatever experience without needing to jump in, needing to assert my energy into the equation. So that was one example that really changed the way that now I hold space and am able to just allow people to share and be in dialogue with me.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. And also that all of it, the energy, the physicality, that example, it's all there in the phrase hold space. So we're not holding each other, we're not even holding the emotions that might rise or holding the event. It's holding the space. And that can be and mostly is that physical distance to someone. And it's so interesting because we do the same thing with Justin Tilou, especially when he's little. Babies, it depends. Babies will let you know. Actually, they'll let you know if you're too much. And if they want to be left alone, they're so smart, so much more in tune with the rhythm of energy than we can until we are deconditioned. I futz over that word because deconditioned from physical therapy means the muscle needs to relearn or the pathway needs to relearn. So I know it's a little bit different than the deconditioning of our cultural conditioning or unwinding. And so sometimes, or at least lately with Justin Tilou, my son, I jump in and he's like, So it's a reminder for me as well of this practice of actually being able to hold that physical distance. And it's not like you have to leave. Sometimes you might have to, because it's also not a disassociation from whatever you're feeling. It's actually, it comes back to that witnessing. And we talk about that a lot here, that once you can come back to your source, once you can plug in and be your own light source, then you see yourself. As Jem was talking about in one of our episodes with which we'll link, about MirrorWork, the doubling. So then you become the witness to, oh wow, I really want to go give her a hug. And then you can also pause because you've given yourself space to then feel into, wow, does she need it? Is that something that I need? You can actually have all this conversation with yourself in the middle of holding space for whatever is arising. And it tends to be human emotion. Holding space tends to be for that experience. Because we experience in emotion, it tends to be that we are able to center ourselves to experience what we are experiencing in that moment while someone else is experiencing their experience, and simply allowing both to happen in this beautiful positioning of a witness.
Yeah, I love always to bring in the reflections because we are in a reflective universe. And so everybody is our reflection. And so we're working with that. And when we hold space, literally holding the space, we're able to receive, because in that pause, we access a time, like a space in time where we're able to get more information, right? Just by pausing, by not being in the reaction, by being in the pause. And with the more options that we have, it avails us to so much more that we can do, right? I would say as a healer, I'm not so much resonating with that word anymore, but as a healer, my job isn't really to heal somebody. It's to hold a space, hold a container, create a container for healing to transpire. So it's not that I'm going in to heal and cure you from whatever's going on. I'm holding the space for your own body's intelligence to work in that field of healing and creating that container. So it's another way to look at holding space and what is that container and how do we, I mean, in healing specifically is a powerful way to hold space. And so is in dialogue or in partnership or in whatever realm you find yourself in with others. It's a way for you to practice being the observer and being a witness to your own traumas and how you want to perhaps engage, because a lot of it is when I'm feeling like maybe I'm not holding space and I'm adding to the pile and being in dialogue or giving the example that my friend is giving this example and then I'm jumping in to give my experience. I find that it's a way for me to feel important because I have something to share, that I'm worthy because I have something to share. So it's touching in on a lot of traumas that are really wounds of mine where I can actually, when I hold space, get a bigger view of what's transpiring in my experience and be like, oh, that's interesting. I wanted to go there with that and with that thought. And when I hold it, I don't allow it to puncture into the dialogue, but I can find the awareness of what is happening in that space. And that gives me information about myself. And ultimately, we're all here working on ourselves. That is our job.
Mm. Yes, absolutely. And while I'm listening to you, we all have, I feel like no matter how resonant your parents were, how beautiful your birth was, we all carry wounds, we all carry traumas because we're also a collective network, a nervous system of humanity. So thank you for bringing us there because it's like, okay, well, I find myself in those same situations and damn, I can't do it. I can't stop myself. And that's okay. That's okay because like anything else, it takes practice. And it also has to do with how you are wound, how your nervous system, which is here for nothing other than your safety, how it is wound. And as humans, it is from 0 to 3. Like it's tightly wound. So your responses are embedded in your body. So there is unwinding that we need to do. And again, like Jem always says, awareness is the first step, or it is the greatest agent for change. And so once you're aware, oh wow, I'm going to use myself, I really respond. I am definitely a fighter. I respond with anger and rage. And especially after my son was born, and wow, was I a baby again. And so I actually was given this opportunity to unwind my nervous system. And part of that was, the very first part of it was, oh, I don't want to react this way. I'm aware that I'm angry all the time. I'm also aware, wow, that I really want to stop, but I feel like I cannot stop. I cannot stop screaming, or I cannot, pull the brakes on when it's already going downhill. And it's not a fault of mine. It's not that I don't have willpower. It's that is literally how my body is telling me, oh, you're not safe, so this is how you're going to respond. Because that's how I learned to respond when I was a child. And so your body is your home, heart open, moving energy, and your nervous system, your autonomic nervous system, the human autonomic nervous system, is your alarm system. And where I find the disconnect, and where I guess we do, is that our body is this unbelievably wise and ancient biology and technology. And so even though I'm not being chased, when my son was born, I wasn't being chased by a tiger. My life was not in threat when he was crying and I just couldn't deal with it. But my nervous system didn't make the difference. So your nervous system does not make the difference between there is a literal threat to your life in this moment, and the check that is due at the end of the month that you don't have, or the news that's sending flares your way. It does not make the distinction. So that's the first thing to be aware of, that there is nothing wrong with you if you get overwhelmed, if you fight, if you scream, if you cry, because your body, all those things, number one, are here for your survival, are here for your protection, and they're also moving through.
I love that you're bringing in the regrooving of our experience, right? The patterns that we are caught in, and until we can move the track, so to speak, to get on the new groove. I think of it as like a record, and we keep playing the same song and playing the same time, and we don't even realize, because we like the song and we like the song, but at some point you might have this awareness where it's like, I think there's more songs on this album. And how do I get myself? How do I pull myself? Because Stephanie's right. It's the nervous system that's holding. I can have the intellectual thought even that I want to change and shift and be something else, and not be able to do it because my body is in this space and time operating in the same mechanics. So how we get there and why holding space is so important is for that pause, is for that moment where you intercept self, where you come back into the line of self, and then you spark that awareness. Oh, I want to make a change, or I don't want to be in anger anymore. How can I do that? I might not be able to do it, but I might be able to hold space for myself in the moment, to pause, to have silence, to have a peace inside before my emotions come on, before I'm reacting, right? So holding space is also like holding the reins of yourself to perhaps chart a new course, to change a position, a groove that you've been walking on and endlessly circulating on, so that you can start to spiral and see from a different perspective. A lot of what we do here also is walk in these circles, but they're spirals. So it's like, oh, I'm touching back into somewhere I've already been, but now I can see below. I'm still perhaps in my emotion, but it's different. It feels different. I'm not super reacting, or I'm not in it in the same way as a reaction where I have no control. It's an impulse. I'm out. So when I start to see, then I can really start to make changes, and then your perspective widens, right? So in the evolution of being human, which I believe we're all here to do as well, that is the spiritual experience. It is a way to evolve the self by having and holding different perspectives of the self on its journey to becoming.
Just sit with that for a moment. Thank you, sister. That was amazing. And there was something that you said, like pulling the reins. And that's exactly what, there is this very sexy nerve right now. And there's a reason why it's sexy, and it's called the vagus nerve. And you might have heard about it, because it's becoming more a talk about the nervous system and this vagus nerve and vagal tone and the ventral vagal. It sounds good in the mouth and in the body, but it's very sexy right now because it's a cranial nerve. It's the longest cranial nerve. It's also bidirectional, which is somewhat unique, meaning brain to gut brain, or brain to body, and then gut brain, body to brain. Not all cranial nerves do that. And that's super fascinating and beautiful. So it's this figure eight of information, and that, like Jem was saying, this groove of like, am I hangry? What's going on? Am I safe? What's going on? And so what's really beautiful about this vagus nerve is that there's two branches as well. There's the dorsal, which lays along the back, and then there's the ventral, which lays along the belly or the front. And the dorsal is old, it's ancient, it's lizard brain. And then the ventral is a much newer part, pathway, groove. And what's really cool is that it's myelinated. And myelin sheath, I think of it as, it's like this liquid silver. Also myelin, the more myelin you have, the faster the pathway goes. So it really is this super highway in this figure 8 gut brain cranial brains pathway. And it has the power to literally pull the brakes on specifically that fight or flight response. So that reactivity, that frustration, that you cut me off, like Jen was saying. And what's really cool is that, okay, just like you can tone your skeletal muscles, we can tone our nerves. And that the way you tone the vagus nerve is, like, drum roll, breath. Because everything comes back to breath. It's like, duh. And it's also like, really? That's it? I can do that? And why breath? It's exactly what Jen was just talking about. And what we talk about a lot here is that pause. If even for a moment, taking a conscious breath allows you a moment to pause. And when you consciously breathe and you feel your inhale come in through your nose and your exhale come out of your mouth, there is no other moment you are present. Because breath will help you tone. Breath will help you tone your nerves and put you back into the present, into that spaciousness, into the center of your own radiant light bubble.
Breath is everything, right? It's our life. It's our life force. And when we work and in cooperation with this breath, yeah, it allows us to slow down. It allows us to come into presence. And why is that so important for our experience here is because when we are not present, we're usually in the future or the past. And if we're in the future, we're cooking anxiety usually, right? We're cooking the emotion of worry and doubt and all of these unpredictable things. Our brain is so huge and so powerful, and most of us use it to predict things that maybe will never arise in our experience. And so it's when we're really in the presence. This is why they say it's a gift, right? So when we ride into the presence, then there is no left or right. There is only what is. And when that is where the power is. That's where the power is to make a decision, to move, to get on that new groove, get on that new song, and really embody yourself as a way to operate in a new space in your enlightened perspective with all of this beautiful energy that you can expand. It's through the breath. It's through this consciousness. It's bringing the awareness. It's allowing the body to resonate with the life force energy that is our food or nourishment.
I'm just going to take a breath because it feels good. And it's a reminder that we can just do that. And that is enough when someone else is having an experience. And it does have to do with a lot of our conditioning, doesn't it? To like, it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to cry. Like, I'm right here. It's okay. Or somebody else saying, oh, no, you're okay. No, actually, I'm not okay. And I'm going to not be okay until I'm okay. And thank you for just allowing me. Like that's legit what it is. And so, like, we're talking about unwinding your nervous system, being conscious, using your breath. Yes, it does take some practice because we all are bound up in so many ways, and it will be reflected in your body. And it's really this simple. Once you unwind, once you find your practices, once you come on into the incoming and experience mirror work with emBODYbrace conscious movement over time, and how just delicious it all feels and how wonderful it feels to love and sit in compassion for yourself and yourselves. Yes, once you do all that work, that loving work, then it's really a matter of, I'm doing that flipping the pancake for those of you who can see here on YouTube. Those of you who are in the podcast, you just flip your hand. We're doing it together. And it's something that, it's a choice. And it's something that I give mon fils. He's 3.5. And lately he's been, because of the influence of kids at school and who he is, and he's experimenting. He loves to, he gets a stick and he like thwaps. He thwaps the flowers. And he knows, we don't thwap the flowers. He knows that. And so he does it. And so I say, hey, baby, you have a choice. You can continue to thwap the flowers and the stick goes away, or you can help this plant out that actually needs the leaves to be thwapped, and you can keep it. What do you want to do? Do you want to keep it, or do you want it to go away? And then he'll make his choice. And I try to make it as evenly as possible because I really want him to understand you always have a choice. Just like us, we always have a choice. And so for us, it comes down to, okay, well, do I want to experience love and deep appreciation and gratitude and abundance and joy and pleasure and beingness with myself and everyone else and every other being, or the opposite? Like legitimately, that is the non-complexity of connecting to your source and of being able to sit inside and hold space.
Yeah, I love what you were just saying about the choice, because the choice point is the seat of power, and it's the way that we can move with a feeling of our own decision, right? Instead of feeling this is just what my reality is, right? It gives us the power to experience our reality in the way that we want to experience it. And in that honoring of the self, in the holding of space, right? We're getting to look at ourself in the moment. We're observing our partner or friend or whatever experience is happening around us. And we're also able to have not a disconnect, but a space that is our own in that experience, that allows us to honor our own energy and also honor that energy of another, instead of collapsing the energy by being in this entanglement with another. So powerful, the energetics of what is contributing to the experience of a conversation or to something that is in our awareness. I would say it's more than just the occurrence of right foot in front of left. It's allowing me to, oh, I want to pivot, or I'm going to go down this branch. And all of it, we say this a lot in this podcast so far, is a dialogue. It's information. We are detectives, and we are here to do the work for ourselves or on ourselves. My job is Jeanne. It's my full-time job, and I'm working on her all the time. Every day, what am I seeing? What am I observing? What can I change? What are my options? Because I have many, because I have space that I'm able to hold and allow information to come in, and awareness and things to shift my angle of where I'm going, where I'm headed.
Well, I love that you brought it back to relationship, whether it's to yourself, to an animal, to your child, to your partner, to a stranger, to that person that just cut you off, to a tree. You were always, 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 always in relationship, in dialogue, like Jem just said. And the last thing that I want to say is that surround yourself with people that are doing that loving work. Because I would not have this clarity, I would not be on this path without Jem. And because she is also doing this work, this loving work, this internal job, that then we continue to amplify, we continue to peel the layers of the onion of our nervous system and arrive at that next spiraling layer. And because we are meant to be in partnership with each other. And so if you are in partnership with someone who is also striving and evolving for that information, for that self, you can't have self without elf, so why not embrace that magical being within anyway? And the more that you do that, then you share a nervous system. You share a nervous system with whoever you come in contact with. You also share that radiant light bubble, that auric field. So the more that you amplify yourself, the more that you call in more amplified beings, more regulated beings. You can think of that in terms of your nervous system. And regulation just means from up to down, from down to up. Regulation really never means calm. I know that's something I learned as a parent and in this parenting course. It's not calm. Calm is a great state to be, and that's not always the goal. The goal is to either upregulate or downregulate from that deregulation. Being dysregulated is important. It's like being out of alignment. How do you know? Until you're out of alignment or off balance. Same in our nervous system, of course, because we live in this reflective world. So surround yourself with people that you love and adore and that are shining. Even if, like Gemini, we show up. And we show up because we've created that space. We've made a conscious practice of creating that space. And now we share this nervous system, and now we carry it into the incoming. So join us there. That's why it's really a community. It's a community, and we're building this web of radiant beings so that then that has an effect. And it feels so wonderful to connect with beings that share this. Again, it's not like we're always calm. It's not like we haven't had disagreements. And that is the work. And it's then coming back home to yourself, shining bright and sharing this new evolved nervous system. Oh, it's so, so, so powerful.
I love that you're bringing us into community, because it is the reflection of the others that help to amplify ourselves. Like Stephanie really helps me to see myself more clearly. And then because she's doing the work, we keep building like a ladder and keep evolving. And it's such a beautiful thing to have in a partner, in a friend, we are both of those things. So we get to infuse our light and braid our frequencies and then amplify it out into the incoming space. And I would just say again that amplifying your light through your participation in yourself and in your own journey and in your seeking of your own truth. That's what I feel like I'm here seeking, the truth of my experience, the truth of the experience outside. And how I do that is through these channels of holding space, of partnering up, of exhibiting more light, allowing myself to be seen, allowing myself to fail and get back up again and move through it and make a different choice, and not being hard on myself. And all of these ways, all of these practices are reflected inside the incoming, where we do all of our magic work inside beautiful container. Again, back to the container, full circle, the container that is the individuals that are alongside of us and really helping to contribute through their own light and shine.
Let's all just take a breath together. Inhale through the nose. Sigh of satisfaction out of the mouth. And thank you so much for joining us out there, radiant beings, and we will see you, gros bisous, next time.
Ciao.
Thanks for listening to the Incoming Radiant Wellness Podcast. If our vibration resonates with you, subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you would like to join our community, theincoming.co, click the link in the description to gain exclusive access to our weekly classes, monthly offerings, intensives, and courses. Until next time, shine bright, radiant beings.